In the world of business, risk is just, it's a constant. But what if you could actually see trouble coming before it hit? Today, we're diving into how AI is completely changing the game of risk management. It's turning what used to be a guessing game into something much more like a predictive science.
I mean, just think about this for a sec. Have you ever gotten one of those text alerts from your bank about a weird purchase, like the second it happens? That's not some team of people in a dark room watching your account 24/7. Nope, that's AI. It's a perfect, real-world example of this technology predicting a problem and stopping it dead in its tracks.
So, to really get why this is such a huge deal, we've got to take a step back and look at how things used to be. For decades, managing risk was all about looking in the rearview mirror. It was a totally reactive process.
Yeah, that old reactive approach. It was literally like trying to drive a car forward while only looking in the rearview mirror. I mean, can you imagine? You could only analyze what had already gone wrong. But AI completely changes the game. It gives us a windshield. It uses predictive insights to build these early warning systems so the focus shifts from, cleaning up a mess to stopping the mess from ever happening.
So, where did this all start? Well, it's probably not going to surprise you to hear it started in the high stakes world of finance. I mean, that's a world where predicting risk down to the tiniest decimal point, well, it's everything. And this number right here, this shows you just how big that shift is. A full 68% of financial firms are now saying that AI is a top priority for them when it comes to risk and compliance. Now, this isn't just some passing trend. We're talking about a fundamental overhaul of how the entire industry works at its core. So how does it do it? Well, these AI models are incredible at sifting through just massive amounts of data, way more than any human could, to spot patterns we'd totally miss. They can give you a more accurate credit score, for example, by looking at stuff that wasn't really used before, like if you pay your rent or utility bills on time. It makes insurance underwriting way smarter, and like we talked about, it can flag those bogus transactions in the blink of an eye. Okay, so this is way bigger than just finance, right? The exact same ideas are now being used across pretty much every industry out there to see all kinds of other problems coming, from operational hiccups to big strategic disruptions. And the applications are just, they're so broad. So take operational risk. An AI could be watching shipping data, weather forecasts, you name it, to predict a supply chain breakdown before it happens. Or for strategic risk, it could run thousands of simulations of different market scenarios to see how well an investment portfolio holds up. It's even being used for ESG, environmental, social, and governance risk. The AI can scan news and social media to catch a potential PR nightmare before it blows up. Okay, so this all sounds amazing. Almost too good to be true, right? Well, that brings us to a really important paradox. The very tool you're using to manage risk, it actually introduces new risks of its own. Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? What happens when the AI gets it wrong? Because let's be clear, these models are super powerful, but they're not perfect. They can make mistakes, they can have hidden biases, and when you're betting multi-million-dollar decisions on their output, you absolutely need a way to manage that. And that's where something called model risk management comes in. You can basically think of it as the human oversight layer, the essential safety check on the AI. It's a whole process dedicated to testing and monitoring these models to make sure they're still accurate, that they're reliable, and that they're fair. It's really the guardrail that lets us use this powerful tech safely. So, when you step back and look at the whole picture, it becomes really clear. We've basically entered a whole new era in how we see and manage what's coming. And this really brings us back to the single most important idea here. The entire field of risk management is being flipped on its head. We're moving away from reacting to things that have already happened and moving towards proactively getting ready for what could happen next. But at the end of the day, AI isn't some magic crystal ball. It doesn't just make uncertainty disappear. I mean, business is always going to have surprises, right? What it does do is give human decision makers these incredibly powerful predictive tools that help them navigate all that uncertainty way, way better than we ever could before.
And that leaves you with a pretty wild thought. We started this journey by talking about spotting a fraudulent credit card charge. Now we're talking about supply chains and global market shocks. As this technology gets even more powerful, what's the next big uncertainty it's going to learn to see? What other complex parts of our world will we learn to predict and prepare for? It really feels like the possibilities are just getting started.